And we are. So welcome everybody. Good to see everybody. I see some of you don't have your video on yet. So if you can, if you're not in a position where you don't want anyone to see you, we'd love to see your face. Not that like we're not trying to push you out into that, but it would be
Good
great.
morning.
There you go. Tracy's just the first. And then we've got Lucy and Neil. Awesome. Very good.
Everyone.
Looks like we're in bed with Neil right now. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Morning.
Hey, Nicole.
Hi.
So, before we get started, let's start with a little bit of a game that we can always play. Is where is Billy and where is Valeria?
We're like a couple of meters apart from each other. Billy, I guess, is above me.
Okay, that's good to know. So you guys are you in the Amazon?
Amazon.
See where I am?
Oh my God, what a view. Yeah.
I'm in Hogwarts.
Very, very cool. That's actually a great photo right there. Very cool. Well, welcome everybody. We'll kind of commence and get started here. Welcome to our kind of monthly gathering. Something that I really always look forward to. It's a Sunday, and my family always says like you're gonna do something on a Sunday, and I'm like, well, it's not like hard. It's actually fun. It's kind of like going to the gym or exercising or meditating. Like this is like good for you kind of stuff. So it's just such an honor and a privilege to always have this opportunity. It's just like a blessing that once a month we get to feel what it's like to be back in the circle. So I want to welcome everybody that is kind of part of the Friends of Arkana. If anybody's here for the first time, kind of on the outside looking in, welcome to our family. Just by being here, you're in our family. And we've actually been talking about having, a session or two that would act as kind of like an informational kind of event where you guys can invite a lot of your friends that, like me, before I went to my first ceremony, I just had like all these I needed to try to figure it all out before I went. I remember those days, which would be impossible. But anyway, we want to have an event for people in that phase, so you can kind of start thinking about some people that have been asking you a lot of questions that you don't really know how to answer. But welcome, and we always pick a topic. It's always focused on integration, on the integration process, which is what I love. Is I remember the first time I went on ceremony, and I was like so excited about everything that transpired, and I was also really excited and optimistic about integrating it, and doing the work. And I recognized it was going to be hard work. But what I didn't realize is that I was contemplating and thinking about integration while I was still there or even on the way home. It became a whole different story once I got home, and all of those things came. So we're gonna address that today. But here we are. I don't even know how many of these monthly meetings that we've had since we came up with the idea, but we're just so blessed to be able to gather, be with each other, but also do this work. The feedback that we're getting is that a lot of people are just having these distinctions and insights here that are just helping them kind of unwrap the gift, and recognize that maybe they were working too hard at something, and that was already there. And so if you guys have any feedback or any requests, please reach out to us, and let us know. So the topic is forgiveness. This is a deep, deep rabbit hole. Forgiveness. So I'm very excited to have conversations with you. But we're gonna, in the style of the Arkana integration mastermind, of course, we're going to look at it through a fresh new pair of lenses. You guys know that I don't have any lenses in my glasses. That's because I don't need them anymore. People always ask me about that. So I highly recommend that as like an anchor. But we're going to look at forgiveness as it pertains to the experiences that we've had, but also the integration process. So let me season the pot with something that I prepared, and then we'll have a mastermind about it, and we'll hear some wisdom from everybody. So the chances are that if you're here, and I don't know everybody, I don't recognize every name. Chances are if you're here, you've likely walked through some sort of a fire in life, or maybe let me get this, or maybe even drank from, what I'm referring to as the sacred roots of truth. Isn't that a fun way of looking at it? Let me just work on some muting here, just so we don't have any background noise. Billy, if you can, if you see it, when sometimes people come in and they mistakenly are muted or unmuted. So anyway, chances are you've been at ceremony and you've walked through some sort of a fire and drank from what I call the sacred roots of truth. So you may have even touched something that you perceived was ancient, right? I know that a lot of the stuff that I experienced, I considered to be wordless. Maybe even experienced or saw your own pain when you were there, and perhaps even identified. And this is what all of my wife was very worried when I was going out there, that I was going to like come to this conclusion that she was the source of all my problems. It actually was a complete opposite for me. I mean, my wife emerged as this beautiful light and flower. Our relationship went super deep in love after it. But sometimes we do identify who's the cause of our pain, or what's the cause of our pain, and that's where this process begins. Or maybe in the stillness in between all of your visions, you saw yourself clearly for the first time, which could be scary. So now, right, we're home. Sorry to shift the energy right there. Some of you might have, recently been on ceremony, but some of you might have been home for quite some time. But home, not to the jungle and that circle anymore, right? But to the apartment, your job, your family, your phone full of messages from people who don't know what you just experienced, and there's no way that they could, if you remember that moment. They still see you as the old you. And it's interesting when people see you as the old you that you perceive you no longer are. In certain ways, it's kind of coaxing and persuading you to fall back into that. I don't know if anybody experienced that. And yet something has changed, though, hasn't it? Right? Whether you know how to explain it or not, or you're struggling with it, something has changed. Um, and that brings you to this threshold that we call integration. Right? It's like you recognize the change and you see the challenge, and we begin this process of saying, well, okay, I better pull out that PDF that Billy and Valeria gave me and like read it and start doing those P's. But here's the secret. Integration isn't just about applying your insights. And here's the correlation. Integration is about forgiving the things that are there to try to pull you back. Let me say that again. This is a pretty cool one. Integration isn't just about applying these things that you learned over there, because very often they just allow you to see what already was. It's more about forgiving the things and people that are there that are trying to pull you back. Because if you don't, that might be what you're struggling with right now. So the parts of you that still judge, the people who haven't changed, the temptations a lot of us have, the temptations to collapse into old stories, the triggers, and then the silence. You see, plant medicine often gives us the gift of sight. That's what it was like. I saw things that I didn't know were there. And then I started to wonder if they were always there, or just on plant medicine. We've had some deep conversations. Valeria is very passionate about this, is that there's many ways to go back to the augmented reality without taking plant medicine as well. So there's many practices there. But forgiveness is what gives us the gift of freedom. forgiveness is a big part of it. It's interesting that we chose this topic. We probably need to talk about it more. So I've often said the purge. This is interesting. If you've been, you understand what purge means. And most people would hate to find out that the way I purge is I yawn. Isn't that an awesome purge? You know, if you're one of those people that like vomits violently, you don't want to sit next to me because I just yawn and it's wonderful. I don't even have to go to the bathroom, to be honest with you. I just enjoy that. But it's often said that the purge is forgiveness in disguise. This is what I was excited to let you know, Billy. The purge is forgiveness in disguise. So things like vomiting, crying, yawning, sweating, and other forms of the purge are usually seen as physical things. And that's probably while you were experiencing it, you probably noticed it as a, but they taught us a lot of things about what the purge represented. Yet, not physical, but what's really being released is what's interesting when you purge resentment, shame, judgment, and grief. The purge is the body's metaphor for forgiveness. If you can't grasp that, try to write that down. The purge is the body's metaphor for forgiveness. The literal letting go of toxins. Integration is the practice of forgiveness, and the purge is that letting go. It's just such a cool concept. So it's how we unclench from the past, and it's how we soften ourselves to to our own self. Because without forgiveness, without with forgiveness, without it, our insights and life-changing distinctions will remain trapped in the ceremony. This is really interesting. If you come home and you're feeling like home is different from there, and a lot of times people say, I think I need to go back, which is what I love about this. This, for me, this is like going back. Sometimes a lot of the distinctions that we make are trapped back in that circle in the ceremony. I don't know if anybody ever felt like that. Like it was so easy there. It made so much sense there. Right? It's difficult here. It's the whole reason we have to work with integration. So without forgiveness, these things become, or with forgiveness, right? So one last distinction and then we'll break into this. So if you're looking at the idea of forgiving others, it's going to require person. It's an interesting. Um, it's gonna require you potentially recognizing that it's more about them than you. I was just sharing with Billy. My wife is a therapist, and she says if you're incapable of forgiving someone, it's like holding a hot stone in your hand and waiting for them to burn. Isn't that cool? But forgiveness of your own self is what's called alchemy. Anybody knows what it's about? Alchemy is an interesting word, and it's very, very correlated. In ancient mysticism, alchemy referred to the process of turning lead into gold. That's what here refers to. So this became a metaphor for transformation and transforming dense, heavy, unrefined material into something radiant, pure, and valuable. So there's the metaphor. Forgiving of yourself, right? Taking something dense and certain and exclamation point statement oriented and opening it up. That's what forgiving yourself would do. Therefore, self-forgiveness is what transforms our heaviest burdens, like shame, regret, guilt, and judgment, into the lightness of compassion. When I read that and I think about it, if you think about our little huddles when everybody's like sharing and stuff, and you kind of like look to Billy or Jose or Valeria for like some sort of an answer, you'll notice their answers are very, very similar, like relax and enjoy your breath, right? Or, like everything is just perfect. So I want to share with you a word in closing that's very correlated with this, and the word is sartori. Anybody know what sartori means? Sartori is a really cool word. It's a Japanese Buddhist word. And I want to give you the definition so you can understand it. Um, so let me just read this. What we're going to do here is we're going to reopen the circle. That's what this meeting is about. Um, and we're not here to figure things out. So if you came here to figure something out, I don't think this is figure outable, right? What we're here to do is just open up the circle again. Um, we're here to bless things up. So let's explore what forgiveness means, not as an endpoint, but as a practice, a portal, and a path. So let's permit ourselves to move beyond thought, beyond language and identity, and allow for this moment we call Sartori. So Sartori is not a belief. Sartori is not like something that you think. It's not like some sort of knowing. It's not a conclusion. It's something that is felt. It's considered to be a felt recognition that everything, here's the key, that everything in this moment, and I mean everything, is right. A lot of you guys are in that space right now. And those are the answers that everybody gives when you ask questions, is that they just remind you that the only way we determine right and wrong is by the meaning that we give things. So Alan Watts calls that moment profound rightness. And it doesn't require that things be fair, and it doesn't require that things don't hurt to be in that moment, because pretty much there's a lot of unfairness and there's a lot of pain, right? But in the moment of absolute presence, the story dissolves and only the truth remains. So, what I want to do now is I just want to turn it over. I don't know if Billy wants to say something or Valeria, um, and just see how that lands with you. Because if you're in the integration process and you claim to be struggling, um, it might be something else. And I like to look at integration as this beautifully wrapped gift that's under the tree that you haven't unwrapped yet. Right? That's the way we're going to look at it. So anyway, that's my dragon version of forgiveness, and we'll I'd love to see what's going on in everybody's minds and hearts now.
Hello, everybody. So many beautiful people, and so many of you that I know. Um, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Um, when I was listening to you, JC, about the word forgiveness, forgiving, it's like the knowledge of what that is in the word itself, which is forgiving, to give. So forgiveness in that sense is like to forgive, to give to yourself, like it's forgiving to yourself, and then once you give to yourself you can give to others, because you can't give to others what you don't have. It's like if I have $100, I can give the $100, but if I don't have the $100, I can't give anything. And so forgiving in that context is like, where does forgiveness come from? It comes from a space of compassion, of kindness. And so then to give yourself compassion and kindness, and then to give that compassion and kindness to others. So forgiving is forgiving. It's forgiving compassion, kindness to yourself, forgiving compassion and kindness to others, and then um, experiencing that as an experience reality for yourself. So experiencing compassion within yourself, peace within yourself, kindness within yourself, gratitude for yourself, and then forgiving to others that gift, for giving the gift of compassion, for kindness, and gratitude to others. And when you do that, what you'll realize is like your whole life will change, because you'll live from a space of compassion, of kindness, of gratitude, of understanding, and you'll be able to give that to others, that space, gratitude, compassion, kindness, and yeah. So it's a gift. The gift of a gift for giving is to forgive and to give to yourself compassion, kindness, and all these beautiful characteristics that will then, what the seer sees is seen. So then, as you see, the world will show up to you as the way that you see it. And the way that you'll be seeing is in a space of compassion and kindness, and then you'll just see everybody and everything with compassion, with kindness, with gratitude, and that will amplify and turn up everywhere you look, within, without, inside, outside, and all around. So it's a beautiful practice for giving the gift of giving.
So would you agree? Because I want to put this in context to we're saying a lot of beautiful things, and I think a lot of people like when we're in the circle, because we're kind of in the circle right now, you know. Um, People see things clear, but we have to be able to pull these things back up when we're back out there and you guys pick up your phones and stuff like that. So would you see forgiveness perhaps as a bridge that stands in between, the circle and having the circle be omnipresent? It's like it's such an interesting thing. You could have hours and hours and hours of conversation in it, but if somebody is trying to bring the circle, the experience, the distinctions to another place, maybe that's the mistake, is that they think that it only exists in one place and not the other. So it's like it almost seems like the practice of forgiveness of yourself, of others, is allowing yourself to just realize that you're still in that space. It's just that you've allowed something else to hold you back. Did that make any sense? Or go ahead, Valeria.
I have something, yeah, to that. Something that came to me was that when we do these practices or go through the plant medicine ceremonies, we start uniting with everything that is around us. We start seeing in others the same that we are. And when we don't have that big separation between other people, we can see the compassion. We can be compassionate to them and see that inner child that is still maybe wounded. So I feel like the key to forgiveness is to really see where is it coming from, the things that hurt us, why the behavior, where is it coming from, to see that they are, or yourself, or how you feel like, is it the, let's say someone hurt you, and looking inwards and be like, okay, what that part of me is hurt now and is not healed yet, and with the compassion towards yourself or towards others, and seeing that union, that we are no different. So basically, when in the word forgiveness, we also give the freedom to ourselves when we let go of the feeling of being, mad, angry at each other. So it's if we see things as that the people did their best with what they knew, or you did the best with what you knew at that point, it's easier to just let go and forgive. I don't know if I put it in an understandable way, but seeing basically everything that is around you as one will help you to have compassion, because we all, in the end of the day, go through very similar things. And maybe seeing that, in the past, we have also might felt the same way, and trying to recognize that in the others. Yeah.
I love it.
There's what you just said reminded me of a quote which I just pulled up, which is like a Native American. It comes from Chief. He's a, and the quote is Chief Seattle. The quote is, "Humankind is not woven. Humankind has not woven the web of life. We are but one thread within it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves." And it's that it is like we're interconnected in the internet, the web of the internet right now, and connected through each other with this conversation. But we're interconnected in our whole web, in ceremony, in life, in medicine, in love, and forgiveness within that is like you forgive yourself, and you interconnect in the web, and you forgive everything and everybody, and it spreads like that, and it only exists through compassion, through understanding, through reflection.
There's another interesting vantage point that we spend a lot of time trying to do such hard work, and forgiveness could be looked at as hard work, like, oh, that's why we hold on to this hot stone that's burning our hands and say, I'm gonna hold this until they burn, and maybe it doesn't have to be so hard. I heard a really interesting perspective that I was watching this video, and I was kind of getting some social media ready. And I heard this monk say, he says, in order for us to develop spiritually, like if you decide I would like to develop spiritually, I would like to become more self-actualized, and I would like to grow as a person, and all those things that most of you would say you want. He says, in order for you to be able to do those things, it would require that the world and people be completely awful to you. Think about that for a second. Because if that wasn't the case, you would have nothing to work on. So another interesting thing is, whenever you perceive that you're struggling and you're like, oh, I got to get out of my own way and I got to work on forgiveness, another way is to see the struggle not only as necessary, but as an offering, an opportunity for you to do the work. Because if there was no opportunity for you to do the work, there would be no growth. And I don't know about all of you, but like, I don't know if I want everything to be perfect. That sounds terrible, because there's nothing to do. Right? So whatever it is that you're struggling with and battling with, maybe just change the way you look at it. Maybe you need some glasses without lenses for a second, and just look at it as an opportunity. Look at it as potentially a blessing from the divine that's saying, I see you. I see that you want to grow. Here's your chance. Right? Bob.
Sorry, guys, thumbs. I think one of the most powerful lessons I've learned in forgiving myself is that in order to forgive myself, I had to learn the lessons of my trauma, right? Because my trauma was the thing that destroyed me. And when I was able to learn the lessons in my trauma, they became steps on a ladder instead of a weight on my ankle. They were no longer things that happened to me. They were things that built me, And with that, I was able to forgive the man I was in that space. And now I have the capacity to forgive others that are in that space. And so I think for me, that was the greatest growth. And that's where I had to go. So I hope that's helpful.
It's very helpful. And you can hear in your voice that it's a good thing that when you even just speak of it, it comes out, differently. It's amazing. And you're very brave to do what you did. And it sounds like what you're doing now is recognizing that, like Billy said, it's positioning you to serve others. Here's something. If you take anybody that you meet over at Arcana, anybody, and I would assume the shamans are included, right? And you sit down and say, how did you get to this point where that's how I met Billy? I'm like, I was asking him, like, how did you get here to where you're doing this, right? You'll notice that nobody will say, well, everything was just wonderful. And I just decided to just take my wonderfulness over here, right? There's, when you meet somebody like Valeria that's like done all this deep work in India and yoga and all that stuff, sure, she wants to expand, but there's no way that you would see somebody doing that kind of work or serving others that has not walked through the fire, right? So another interesting thing in forgiveness is why do we still find ourselves wishing that we didn't have to? You know, wouldn't it be nice if we could just arrive there? Um, so I think that the reframe is really important. I'd love to hear some other
You,
people. Oh, go
you know
ahead.
what can I just respond to that real quick? What I say is that we don't ever arrive. We're always on the path until we arrive. Like you arrive when you're done on this plane. That's when you arrive. Until then, we're on the path. And that's the focus, is keeping both feet firmly planted.
Indeed. So who else has something that they want to share? Beautiful stuff. I know that I'm looking at your faces and I kind of know which ones of you do have something to say. Anyone? If not for you, for others? Tracy's coming in hot. There you go. Up, you got to try it one more time, Tracy.
Did it work?
Yes, you're good. Well, you just muted yourself again. You were there.
How about now?
Now you're good.
Thank you. I have resonated with pretty much everything that I have heard this morning. I've been struggling. People have been showing back up in my life that are from more of the darkest times of my life. I have fought addiction my whole life. I mean, to the point where they're knocking on my bedroom window in the middle of the night, like trying to draw me back in. And I am learning that I have to let go with love and acceptance for where they are, and that I do not have to participate or be a part of that any longer. Self-forgiveness has been very, very difficult for me. I feel that I have harmed a lot of people on my journey. And a lot of it was unintentional because I just really had not awakened yet or had learned of a different way. And I am now today. It's been very humbling. I love what I heard about, I heard embrace the struggle as the opportunity to grow towards that in which you are wanting to be. I never looked at it that way before. I kind of looked at it as I'm like destined to struggle and grieve the rest of my life, and all of the woes and the damage that's being done to the planet and the animals and the people. And like, is that my destiny? Is that my calling? Am I like this universal griever? And Although I believe part of that is true, because I believe that there must be somebody or some people that understand the pain and the suffering, right? But not to the extent into which it is destroying me. And that's where I am trying to learn the balance and how to carry the dark and the light equally without one destroying the other. I don't know if this is resonating with anybody or not, but I'm a seeker. I have been my whole life. I came to Arkana with my daughter, my beautiful daughter. And this journey from that point on has just brought us closer and closer. We are no longer enmeshed. We stand as two separate beings on this journey together now. And I'm learning. And I have a long way to go. I'm at a psychic fair this weekend. I'm actually getting a psychic reading for me and my dog, who has been just instrumental in my life. And I do believe that he is a reincarnation of my little princess who passed on several years ago. But anyway, aside from all of that, thank you so much for allowing me to share like my truths in a space where I am safe. I don't feel very safe most of the time. I do when I'm at home with my animals and doing my work. But other than that, it's hard for me to find safety in the world right now. And I have a tendency to isolate. But now I'm seeing it through different eyes that embrace these opportunities to go out into the world, to hone in or to polish the lessons in my spirituality. Instead of running scared from it, learn to embrace it. And I think in the embracing, the understanding will come. Anyway, thank you for letting me share and for being here for all of us.
That's beautiful. And thank you for feeling safe. I call this the Arkana way. You know, I have a lot of friends that, and this is in no way, shape, or form putting other plant medicine retreats down, but you know, when I tell my friends that didn't go to Arkana what we do on this regular basis, they're like, "What?" You know, that's amazing, right? Because the work, there's work that needs to be done. And just remember, if you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at will begin to change. Then, and that's what you were just saying, Tracy, right? Um, and maybe, and this is if we would just allow ourselves to look at things any way we want, which you can, right? Maybe if God and the universe and the divine didn't give a damn about you, they wouldn't send people to your window at night and give you an opportunity to grow. They would just forget about you. Isn't that a fun way to look at it, right? I know it's not easy, but you get to look at anything the way you want, right? Remember, our biggest struggle is always the meaning that we put on things. You know, that happens in there. Billy?
Yeah, the word that you guys are using is actually beautiful, which is opportunity. And I was thinking while Tracy was saying, just the opportunity to forgive means that you like, or the opportunity of forgiveness, this opportunity for growth, to learn, to be compassionate. It's like what a blessing, because it means that we're all alive. It's like this opportunity exists because we do feel, we do experience, like we face challenges, we face blessings, many blessings too. We have the opportunity to learn through all of these blessings through experiences of pain or hardship. And what an overall blessing that is, just this opportunity to be alive and to experience life in the spectrum that is life. Like, I think we shared this last time, but like, obviously the sun comes in waves, the ocean has waves, the heartbeat comes in waves, but the sun is beautifully light, the heart is full of love, and the ocean has a wonderful depth. And it's really like a representation of this life, is that it does come in waves, is a beautiful opportunity to experience life with, in the Buddhist philosophy, obviously suffering, for example, is on the other, no, nirvana is on the other side of suffering, and without one you don't get the other. It's the polarity. Life's non-dual, it's a oneness, but within that are these dualities, these polarities, like hot and cold, and without one doesn't exist the other. But it's because it has this depth, this light, this love behind it all, that you experience this life so fully. And yeah, it's just a wonderful opportunity. How blessed are we to be able to experience all of that? And yeah, it's actually a beautiful thing.
Love it.
I just would love to add to that, just from if anyone has done Sapo, Bufo, in Arcana, there's different experiences. Often people say it's a light, but for me, what happened often times, it would take me to this dark hole where there's no time, there's no form, there's absolutely nothing. And actually, it's not that nice place to be in. There's nothing happening. I actually would rather feel even those deep emotions than be stuck in nothingness forever. So it truly is a blessing to experience this life, to be born in this human body and experience all the rainbows, all the storms as well of this life. So yeah, it's again practice of gratitude, even when we're having hard times, is really the key to receive more blessings and lessons from those situations that we go through in life. That's all I wanted to add.
That is such a great reminder, because I always say, "Oh my God, Sapo was the most amazing thing." I don't know if while I was in it, it was so amazing. But what's amazing is when you come back and you have so much appreciate. You see Billy and Jose's like odd blue eyes, and and you're just like, you're just so grateful to be back in this reality that you've been trying to escape so much. So I love that. It's true. And we just have to remind ourselves that, the analogy of going through the tough time is the only way that you would be able to. So that's the opportunity that Billy was saying. So cool. That's the key word, Bill. We should have called this opportunity, this topic. Um, Lexi.
Hi, everyone. I don't know why I'm just like, I'm getting really emotional, like listening. uh, Thank you, Bob, for talking, and what you said, like, really resonated with me. And then Tracy, and just, I mean, hearing everyone, like, I'm just feeling really grateful. Um, I'm traveling, like, back to the jungle in a couple of weeks, and I'm feeling quite nervous, which I think is, like, normal. I'm feeling just a little bit scared because I was in the jungle about like 2.5 years ago, and it was so life changing and also so difficult, and I struggled a lot. And so I'm like getting like a slice of that humble pie. Like, yes, I've done a lot of work, but like, I'm am I feeling worthy to sit back into the medicine again? Like, I think worthiness comes a lot with self-forgiveness. And I think, this is either like the pre-purge or what, just like feeling this like shame again. Um and I think that's I'm so glad that I was able to like come on and sit with you guys and just hear some stories, because yeah, it's like it is an offering for you to grow. Like struggle is real and it's also needed, and I'm feeling the struggle right now, and that's okay. You know, so it's not all like healing isn't linear, and I feel like I really have done a lot, but I also have so much more to go. And I just started my transcendental meditation practice again, like again sitting and getting my meditation checked about a couple days ago. And I did my cold, my ice bath or whatever. And so I'm getting back to like really the core roots of like what integration is about, and like really trying to cultivate some like deep routines, so that like I am able to sit in ceremony and be able to relax and enjoy my breath and not go like so far out of myself, and feel like okay, like I can always return to like who I am, so I don't know where I'm going with that, but I just wanted to share that. So thank you guys for just giving this space, and I'm so happy that I was able to come on and just listen to everyone. So thank you.
Before we move on, Billy, you wanna say anything to that?
No, I still get nervous when I go to ceremony. Um, and
It
how many
probably means that it's something worth getting nervous for, you know.
how many hundred I still hold on to my mat when I drink the medicine. I know how to get myself out of it, so I'm sat there thinking in all medicines for the first hour I'm thinking like, what did I do? Why did I do that? Shall I get myself out of this? Shall I ask for help from the shaman? And and honor that. That's a beautiful part of the journey. And like I said, it's actually it's amazing. Like you get to feel, congratulations, you get to feel being human. So honor, honor those nerves, and slowly and surely those nerves will transform into excitement, and then into continued transformation, which is the unfolding. This constant unfolding is uh, as we make this journey, as we liberate ourselves. And while that is happening, just honor the way that you feel, love it, just see it for what it is. If you're afraid, be afraid. I know that's okay. I tell people this in the medicine, like be grateful for the opportunity to be scared and know that it's okay. This too shall pass. So feel it, feel the fear, let yourself feel nerves, and love love that, because it means that you are human, and what an amazing experience this is, really, just to be.
Yeah, and another, if you want to, Lexi, a fun, it's kind of a game, and it's fun to gamify this thing, because when we get scared, that's a perception that it's a scary thing. But if you were to actually look at, and there's a lot of fun science behind this, but if you were to look at a brain map of a brain that is having like a full-on frightening panic attack versus another brain that is elated and excited, it's exactly the same. They are identical. So that's the whole concept, is that this conversation today, should you decide to look at this way you're feeling and just reinterpret it as an opportunity, you're so fortunate. And by the way, guys, the greatest fear we have is not failure, that everything's going to go wrong. It's that everything's going to go right and we won't be able to handle it. Right? So we're always afraid of opportunities. That's normal, right? But it does mean that you are very, very fortunate, as Billy said, that you get to do this. While the sleepwalking masses just continue to walk around with their mask on and they'll never take it off.
Just one more thing as well is
Exposed.
I read something once which I love. It was basically I was falling into the abyss. I was falling into the darkness, into the abyss, and I was falling and falling and falling until I realized I was flying. It's an interesting concept. Like sometimes you fall and you feel like you're falling and you're afraid of falling and you're trying to hold on and cling, and you're falling and falling and falling, and then eventually you realize you're flying, you're free. And that's also that journey.
That's beautiful. Nikki and Pet.
Thank you, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for everything. What I was just thinking, what just came up when you were talking about forgiveness was that it reminded me of when I was looking into Ho'oponopono and the whole, I love you, please forgive me. No, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. And it was talking about that the forgiveness part, asking for forgiveness, was asking for forgiveness for your unconsciousness. And it's really helped me in terms of understanding any kind of resentment or forgiveness that need for forgiveness that comes up with others, and the compassion in the sense of like, if they're unconscious, then people don't know what they're doing. And so and I think they were talking about Eckhart Tolle saying that there is nothing to forgive. So if people are acting out of unconsciousness, including when we do stuff, that if we don't know any better, then there is really nothing to forgive, because it's not being done with malice. It's not being done with, it's just being done with sheer, if you know better, you do better. Do you know what I mean? And that's just helped me a lot. And I just love it in the sense of like, the compassion for forgiveness, that I don't need to judge anybody, that it's just like, hey, we all do better when we know better. And so just keep growing and learning. That's what's helped me.
I love it. And remember, everybody, we live in a world where we obviously don't like living in the present moment. I mean, just look at how much time we spend either in the past or seeking things that are in the not now. So maybe one of the reasons we don't like to sit in the present is because it's frightening to not be busy, right? So that's normal. Maybe that's what Lexi's feeling right now, is she's like, oh crap, I'm going to go have to be still with myself and not be doing yoga and this and that and this and that, right? But you also know now, and you build trust with it, that you've done it before and it went pretty well for you, right? And you also know people now, that you know Arkana. I had no idea where I was going the first time, but now I know. I'm some of the greatest people in the world I've met through that experience. Neil.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I wanted to share a recent thing that happened. So some of you might know Rachel. So Rachel and I, we own a few businesses together. And a few months ago, we found out one of our business partners was stealing money from us. And so I went into this like rage of like, okay, time to go to war. And started putting all the pieces together, started I'm like, got my friends who are lawyers together, got my friends who are cops together, and and it was like I went into action right away. But I just still I remember feeling this rage. And so even though I was doing, I think, all the right things that I need to do to protect myself, Rachel, the business, and all these things, I still had this like agitation in me the entire time. And it felt really, it was really tough, because like logically I knew I was doing the right things, but this agitation was still inside me when in all that action. And it took a little bit of time for me, like through meditating on it for a long time, and through my different yoga practices, that I started realizing, like, I can act, and I can act, but I don't need the rage to act. And this is like what you said, JC. It was like about like holding the stone and then like burning yourself, right? But hoping the other person burns. And to me now, forgiveness doesn't mean that like I don't act. It just means that I'm not holding the bitterness inside me for that action. And so that's one of the things I wanted to share just recently that I kind of came to. It was like, it doesn't mean that I don't have to do things. It doesn't mean like, oh, I forget things or just let it slide. I still have to act, but I'm not having any bitterness in my heart. And from removing that, there was more clarity. There was more clarity in, looking at the person through like those eyes of like, I wonder what happened to this person that they think that they need to do this, or I wonder what happened. And then then it gave some space for compassion to come in. So that's just what I wanted to share. It was the realization that forgiveness doesn't mean you don't do anything about it. It just means that you act, but without any bitterness or anger in your heart. So that's my short thing that I wanted to share.
There's a key distinction there, which is to act but not react.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Nikki's saying, it's like a conscious action instead of an unconscious reaction. And just by giving yourself like time to pause, which is obviously a P, like ask yourself, like, where is this coming from? Is this coming from a space of love, of compassion and kindness? And then acting from that place? Or am I reacting based on fear, anger, resentment? And obviously that brief pause, distilling into a space of compassion and then acting from that space only has positive consequences, because the unseen is seeing. Is the divine is watching and working with you. This is like almost like the karmic laws, right? The seeds that you're sowing.
Yeah.
But when you give that time, that space just to act and act from compassion, and compassion doesn't always have to be, like for example, Valerian I's teacher, he says namaste, namaste away. You can still be you can still be compassionate and have clear boundaries. That's not that's not non-compassion. That can be very compassionate. Pruning can be very compassionate, but it's reacting from a space of anger or resentment, etc., that then spirals. And like you say, who does that affect? It affects us most.
Mm. Yeah. Billy, it reminded me a little bit like that pause. It reminded me of that time you told that story about the samurai and the monk, and then the monk just said like, it was that pause for the samurai to know what the difference between what's heaven and what's hell. And yeah, that's exactly what I felt, giving myself that pause to know what, that space that I needed. So yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah. So we're amazing shares, and it's just so nice when we hear what's going on. And I hope that a lot of you that don't typically share are getting closer, because we're so excited to hear from all of you. A lot of what I'm hearing is really just about how we're deciding the illusion looks. And I call it an illusion because it is, but we're the ones creating it. But in that statement, it means that you're the creator. So you can start to have fun with that. And it takes work, right? Remember what I said, and I was thinking about this when Tracy was speaking. Remember that integration is not just applying this new knowledge and these insights. It's about forgiving the things and people that are there to pull you out of it. That's what it's all about. And the distinction is when you take the pause, and I always just go, what else might be true? And that's a nice question to ask. And then you just say, is the world happening to me, for me, or through me right now? And just by asking that question, you realize there's a choice. So I'll just close with this. And by the way, Lexi, I'm pretty much secured going to, I think we're going to the Sacred Valley at the end of November. And I'm frightened to death about it, just like you, but it excites me because I haven't been frightened in a while. Things have been pretty lame, to be honest with you. So I'm excited. So I just wrote here, because without forgiveness, our insights, oh, no, I'm sorry, different one. Forgiveness acts as the bridge to that moment. It's an inner gesture that says this: I no longer need things to be different for me to feel free. Full radical acceptance of everything the way it is and equating that to freedom. I no longer need things to be different to be free. And in that space, we recognize that that thing called Sartori, full radical acceptance of everything being just the way it needs to be and just the way it is. That space is actually not very far away. In fact, it's already here where it's always been until we confused it with other stuff. So I'm going to turn it over. Any Arkana news or announcements or anything like that, Billy? You guys want to share?
I think the reunion retreats will be, Nikki's asked me this many times. I think we're obviously next year having 2 reunion retreats, only for former Arkana guests. We'll do like a custom schedule. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. For example, walking in the mountains with Alcides, for those of you who have met Alcides, like that guy is my brother and a wonderful human being. Which is different from doing San Pedro at the center, for example. So it will be a customer schedule. I think this will be in May in the Sacred Valley, and then we're going to do one in Mexico.
Oh, did we just lose him?
Like, for example, this community here, you're all familiar. You've all done the work. You're all integrating. So it's even more blessings, even more beauty. And also, that's all I'll really share. We have many interesting projects coming up, which you guys will see in due course. But I just want to say, because I keep sharing this because it's so true. You were talking about creation. The one in Mexico, Nikki, I think will be in November next year. Is creation. Creation is art, and art is in the heart. It's in the word heart. Heart, art. I'm going to keep saying it because I love it. I love this concept, which is your art is in your heart. And literally the word heart is spelt in there. And that is creation. So when you connect to your heart, you connect to creation, the creator, and you become the master creator of your life through the heart. And that's also what you have to forgiving. What you have to give is the heart for yourself, first and foremost. So be kind with yourself. Feel fully. Feel the fear, feel the pain, and then ground yourself in your own heart. Give yourself your heart, and then it's forgiving to others. But what are you really giving to? You're giving to the divine itself. It's the divine channeling through you and out you. So you are the gift that is forgiving. And what you're giving is your heart. You're giving your love to yourself, to the world around you. And last thing is, because what you were talking about, JC, it reminded me, or this whole conversation reminded me of a Martin Luther King Jr. quote, which is, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. And so it's like Neil sharing. It's like we transcend and transform all these situations in our life through our own light and through our own love, which is first felt and experienced within the self, and then shared to all those around us. So be love, see through love, and live through love, and your life will become loving in every different way. And I'll pass it over to Valeria. Valeria can share about her breath work on Wednesday and some other things.
Yeah, and I just want to remind Valeria will probably say this, but if somebody needs to reach out and they need some guidance and support, Valeria, just let them know how to do that as well.
Yes, thank you everyone, first of all, for being here and sharing so beautifully. And yeah, it's always such a pleasure to see. Today we're like 30 of us, which is so beautiful. Yeah, we are having also with Arkana these online breathwork sessions that are from those teachings that I learned from Himalayas, from Rishikesh, that was there. Also, Billy was there learning from this amazing master. And they're totally donation based. And the next session will be on Wednesday evening at 9 p.m. EST. So feel free to come. It's a beautiful way to integrate, to ground, to experience the peacefulness within. I'm putting the link in the chat box, so you can just click it open, because after this session, when it's closed, the link will go away as well. You're more than welcome to come. I would love to see you there. And we also have a little sharing in the end if you feel called to. So it's also another way to really, you know, have a community around you that is same-minded, shares same kind of interest, and yeah, something to do, just something good for yourself. And yes, if anyone wants to contact me about integration coaching, if you don't have my number, just reach out to Billy or anyone. Even through the Instagram, you can also contact me, and I'm here to help you in anything. Thank you so much for joining. I wish you lovely, blessed day or evening wherever you are. Thank you.
I want to say that too really quickly, JC, is thank you, all of you. Like, this is a blessing just in itself. It's like having a retreat outside of the retreat, even if it's just for an hour. It's like a ceremony in itself. And I obviously know many of you. Some of you I haven't met, but it's amazing to see you all. It's a beautiful place to keep connected. And yeah, like, we care. And I'm glad you guys care too. So thank you so much for coming. And we hope to see you again also.
It's every month we get to, we come into this messed up and then we leave blessed up. So we got to just work on that. One final thought as we all part ways, I just realized now that the medicine doesn't leave our bodies. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's still inside of us all. And I think you guys all know what I mean by that. And what that means is we can all do a lot of really cool work with it right now. Right? We don't need like to inject it into our vein or something like that. It's already in us. And the changes have been made and it's still working. It's magic. But maybe what we learned today is that we've just complicated ourselves with it. You know, so I hope that you guys got a little bit of that clearing in this group today, and we'll keep you posted on when the next one is. But I would recommend that in some way, shape, or form, you stay connected. Stay connected with this group. Not wait a month for you to get messed up again and then come use this for your blessed up. All right, love and appreciate you all. Thanks so much for creating this space, guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.